Europe is often seen as a place of diversity and inclusion, but beneath the surface, racism and discrimination persist in many nations. Reports from the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights (FRA) and other human rights organizations highlight countries where racial bias, hate crimes, and systemic discrimination are alarmingly high. Today, we're counting down the 10 most racist countries in Europe, based on official statistics and real-world experiences. Some of these will shock you. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more engaging content. Let's get started. Number 10. Italy. Italy has long been a cultural and historical powerhouse, but it also struggles with deep-rooted racial discrimination. In recent years, minorities, especially Black residents and migrants, have reported growing hostility. According to the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights (FRA), 32% of Black respondents in Italy reported experiencing racism, with instances of discrimination in employment, housing, and public spaces. Football stadiums have also become a hotspot for racial abuse. Numerous Black footballers in Italy's top league have been subjected to racial slurs and offensive chants, sparking international outrage. The rise of far-right political parties has contributed to anti-immigrant sentiment, with some politicians openly advocating for stricter migration policies. This has led to a surge in hate crimes, particularly targeting African and Middle Eastern migrants. Additionally, Roma communities face discrimination in housing and employment, often living in segregated neighborhoods with poor infrastructure. Despite efforts by anti-racism organizations, racial inequality in Italy remains a significant issue, affecting both citizens and migrants. Number 9. Finland. Finland consistently ranks as one of the world's happiest countries, but that hasn't stopped racism from taking root. In fact, 45% of Black individuals in Finland report experiencing racial discrimination, making it one of the highest rates in Europe. Black Finns and other minorities frequently encounter workplace discrimination, with studies showing they are less likely to be hired for jobs despite having similar qualifications as white applicants. Hate speech has also been on the rise, with online abuse and racist attacks becoming more frequent in recent years. Social media platforms have become breeding grounds for xenophobic rhetoric, particularly against immigrants from Africa and the Middle East. Racial profiling by law enforcement is another major concern. Reports suggest that Black individuals in Finland are disproportionately stopped by police, leading to increased tensions between law enforcement and minority communities. Despite Finland's reputation for inclusivity, many minorities feel alienated from mainstream society, with studies indicating higher rates of depression and stress among racial minorities compared to the general population. While there are ongoing initiatives to address discrimination, Finland still has a long way to go in creating an equitable society for all residents. Number 8. Denmark. Denmark is often praised for its high standard of living, but racial minorities in the country face a different reality. 41% of Black individuals in Denmark report experiencing racism, with discrimination prevalent in housing, employment, and public spaces.
Studies have shown that Black applicants are far less likely to be called for job interviews,
even when they have identical resumes to white candidates. This economic disparity has led to higher unemployment rates among racial minorities. Anti-immigrant rhetoric has also been on the rise, with far-right political parties gaining traction. Stricter immigration laws and asylum policies have disproportionately affected non-white populations, making it harder for immigrants to integrate into Danish society. Reports indicate that students of African descent face racism in Danish schools, often being subjected to bullying and exclusion. This has led to higher dropout rates and poorer academic performance among minority youth. Racially motivated police stops have also been reported, with law enforcement disproportionately targeting Black individuals in public areas. Despite Denmark's reputation for progressive values, the experiences of racial minorities paint a different picture, highlighting a growing problem that needs urgent attention. Number 7. Sweden. Sweden is known for its strong welfare system and progressive policies, yet racism remains a major issue. According to reports, 41% of Black individuals in Sweden have faced racial discrimination, particularly in employment and housing. Sweden's job market has been particularly difficult for minorities. Studies show that ethnic Swedes are significantly more likely to be hired than Black or Middle Eastern applicants with the same qualifications. The refugee crisis of the past decade has also led to increased anti-immigrant sentiment, with some neighborhoods experiencing rising hate crimes and racial tensions. Many Black residents have reported being racially profiled in stores, public transport, and even by law enforcement. These experiences contribute to a sense of exclusion and alienation for minorities living in Sweden. Additionally, political discourse has seen a rise in far-right ideologies, with certain parties openly advocating for stricter immigration policies and deportations. Efforts to combat racism in Sweden are ongoing, but systemic discrimination continues to impact minorities, making it one of the most challenging places for racial equality in Europe. Number 6. Belgium. The European Network Against Racism's report emphasized Belgium's colonial past and its impact on present-day racial disparities. Belgium's long colonial history, particularly in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Rwanda, and Burundi, has left a lasting impact on how racial minorities are perceived and treated within the country. According to the European Network Against Racism, Belgium continues to struggle with racial disparities in employment, education, and policing, making it one of the more challenging places for minorities to integrate. Belgium's Black population frequently reports experiencing racism in the workplace, with studies showing that Black applicants are significantly less likely to be called for interviews compared to white candidates. Racial profiling by law enforcement is also a serious concern, as Black residents report frequent stop and search incidents without reasonable cause. This has contributed to distrust between minority communities and police forces. Belgium has also seen a rise in far-right political movements, leading to an increase in hate crimes, racist graffiti, and verbal abuse against racial minorities. While Belgium is home to one of Europe's most diverse populations, systemic discrimination and societal attitudes continue to create barriers for racial minorities. Unless stronger policies are implemented to address these disparities, Belgium's racial divide will likely persist, reinforcing negative experiences for non-white residents. Number 5. Portugal. The same report indicated that Portugal trafficked nearly 6 million Africans, more than any other European country, with lingering effects evident in contemporary socio-economic disparities. Portugal's role in the transatlantic slave trade was one of the largest in European history, with its legacy continuing to impact racial relations in the country today. The African and Afro-Portuguese communities in Portugal frequently report discrimination, particularly in housing and employment, with many struggling to gain equal access to opportunities. Many of Portugal's Black residents reside in marginalized neighborhoods where poor infrastructure and lack of government investment have created significant disparities. Despite being home to a large Brazilian and African diaspora, racial profiling by law enforcement remains a major issue, with frequent reports of excessive police force against minorities. Portugal's colonial past is also evident in how history is taught in schools, with some critics arguing that the country downplays the darker aspects of its involvement in the slave trade.
Hate speech and xenophobic rhetoric have also been increasing in political discourse,
particularly against immigrants and non-European residents. While Portugal has made efforts to acknowledge its past, racial disparities continue to shape the experiences of Black and minority communities today. Number 4. Netherlands. A report by the European Network Against Racism highlighted that historical policies and exploitation have contributed to current racial disparities, with activities related to slavery accounting for 5.2% of the GDP by 1770. The Netherlands has long promoted itself as a tolerant and progressive society, but many racial minorities tell a different story. Reports highlight that the Dutch slave trade contributed significantly to the country's economic growth. Yet its modern-day racial disparities continue to be ignored or downplayed in political discourse. Black residents and people of Caribbean descent in the Netherlands have reported experiencing high levels of workplace discrimination, with studies showing that they are paid significantly less than their white counterparts. The controversial Black Piet Zwarte Piet tradition, in which white people wear blackface during holiday celebrations, has been a major point of contention, with many arguing that it reinforces racist stereotypes. Racial profiling by Dutch police has also been widely documented, with officers disproportionately stopping and searching Black and Middle Eastern individuals. Far-right political movements in the Netherlands have gained traction in recent years, with anti-immigrant rhetoric becoming more mainstream. While some activists continue to push for racial equality, institutional racism in the Netherlands remains deeply rooted, making life difficult for many racial minorities. Number 3. France. The National Consultative Commission on Human Rights (CNCDH) reported a decline in the tolerance index among the French population, dropping by 3 points to 62 in 2024, marking the second consecutive year of decline. France has seen growing racial tensions, particularly in immigrant-heavy suburbs where economic disparities have fueled social unrest. A major issue in France is its policy of colorblindness, which prevents official statistics from recording racial and ethnic backgrounds. While this policy is meant to promote equality, critics argue that it makes it harder to track and address systemic racism. The French police force has been accused of racial profiling, particularly against Black and Arab populations, with reports of increased surveillance in minority-heavy neighborhoods. France has also witnessed large-scale protests over racial injustice, particularly following cases of police brutality against Black and North African individuals. The employment gap between white and non-white residents remains a significant issue, with studies showing that Black and Arab job applicants are less likely to be hired, even with equal qualifications. Despite being home to one of the largest Black populations in Europe, many French citizens of African descent feel marginalized and excluded from mainstream society. As racial tensions continue to rise, France's ability to address these deep-rooted issues remains uncertain, placing it high on this list. Number 2. Austria. Austria has seen a dramatic increase in racial discrimination, with reports indicating that 64% of Black respondents have faced racism, a sharp rise from 2016.
Many racial minorities in Austria have reported hostility in the job market,
with studies showing that Black applicants are far less likely to be hired than white candidates. Public attitudes toward minorities have worsened, with far-right political parties gaining support, particularly those advocating for stricter immigration laws. Reports have also highlighted racial profiling by Austrian police, with Black individuals being disproportionately stopped and searched. Hate crimes against Muslims, Black individuals, and asylum seekers have also been on the rise, leading to a growing climate of fear and tension. Despite its reputation for beautiful landscapes and culture, Austria remains one of the least welcoming places in Europe for racial minorities. If racial discrimination continues at this rate, Austria risks further alienating its minority communities and damaging its international reputation. Number 1. Germany. A 2023 survey by the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights (FRA) revealed that 64% of Black respondents in Germany experienced racial discrimination, a significant increase from 33% in 2016. Far-right movements have been gaining momentum, with groups advocating against immigration and spreading anti-minority rhetoric in public discourse. Studies have shown widespread employment discrimination, with Black professionals struggling to find jobs, even when they meet or exceed qualifications. Germany has also seen an increase in racist hate crimes, particularly targeting Muslims, Africans, and asylum seekers, leading to concerns about safety. Police forces have been accused of racial profiling, with officers disproportionately stopping individuals of African and Middle Eastern descent. Despite Germany's efforts to promote multiculturalism, the lived experiences of racial minorities suggest a deeply rooted problem that requires urgent action. With racial discrimination reaching its highest level in years, Germany ranks as the most racist country in Europe in 2025. Here are 5 practical tips to help you stay safe, informed, and empowered in any situation. Research local attitudes before moving or visiting. Before traveling to or settling in a new country, research its history with racism, xenophobia, and discrimination. Look into expat communities, local news reports, and human rights organizations to get a better understanding of how foreigners, especially people of different racial backgrounds, are treated. Know your rights and legal protections. Some European countries have stronger anti-discrimination laws than others. Familiarize yourself with local laws regarding hate crimes, workplace discrimination, and police conduct. Knowing where to report discrimination or abuse can be crucial if you experience or witness racist behavior. Choose safer cities and communities. Racism can vary significantly from one city to another within the same country. Large, diverse cities like London, Berlin, or Amsterdam tend to be more inclusive, while rural areas may be less welcoming. Research neighborhoods and connect with expat groups before choosing where to live or visit. Learn basic phrases in the local language. Speaking even a few words in the local language can sometimes reduce hostility and improve interactions. While racism is never justified, showing an effort to understand and respect local culture can help you navigate uncomfortable situations more smoothly. Stay connected and build a support system. Whether you're traveling short-term or moving permanently, having a strong network of friends, fellow expats, or online communities can be invaluable. These groups provide safety tips, cultural insights, and emotional support if you ever encounter discrimination or need help navigating a difficult situation. From Germany's rising racial tensions to Portugal's colonial legacy, racism continues to impact communities across Europe. While some countries are making efforts to address these issues, the data shows that discrimination remains deeply ingrained in many societies. Which country on this list surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and explore Globe Discoveries for more insights into global issues. Thank you for watching.